Good evening y bienvenidos to Chicago Tonight Latino Voices. I'm Araceli Gomez Aldana, host and reporter with WBEZ Chicago. On the show tonight, a local veterans organization is working to repatriate U.S. military veterans who have been deported. Pushback against a proposed expansion of I-55. Circus Vazquez is back in Chicago to kick off the summer. The landscapes and people of Puerto Rico, and the focus of an art show making a rare visit to Chicago from the island.
They show me that, yes, there is possibilities out there.
And a local club kid turned mentor gives La Ultima Palabra on how he says mentorship gives lives. All that coming up, but our first story tonight, helping U.S. military veterans who've been deported. That's right after this.
Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, is made possible in part by the support of these donors.
Service in the U.S. military can be a speedier route for people hoping to get citizenship, but it's not a guarantee. Non-citizen veterans are subject to deportation for crimes committed after their military service, even if those crimes are minor and nonviolent. Reports indicate that at least hundreds of veterans have been deported, but no full accounting has ever been done. Joining us now with more is Carlos Luna, founder and former president of Green Card Veterans. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm wondering, how did you start with Green Cards for Veterans?
Well, in 2017, I and a group of veterans who met under a peer mentoring program, we decided that the story of a veteran who was being deported from Chicago was an injustice that needed a veteran perspective to help address that issue. At the time, we weren't sure of the scope of the problem, but we knew that it was happening here. And so we mobilized, we organized, and we started fighting this national fight from here in Chicago. It was and is a group of veterans and veteran family members who volunteer under the Green Card Veterans umbrella to address not just the deportation of veterans as a whole, but all of the different phenomenon that lead to that outcome.
Yeah, and I'm sure people were kind of wondering, how does this happen, right? That was back in 2017, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what kind of crimes are we talking about when veterans get deported? What happens in those situations?
Right, so it's a wide range of crimes, right? At the end of the day, it has to be an aggravated felony that gets them deported, and that is an aggravated felony according to the federal immigration system, right? And so there can be, check fraud, there can be DUI, there can be assault, there can be battery, from a bar fights. The range of crimes is pretty wide. No one size fits all, and that's really one of the reasons why it's so difficult to address this issue with one policy, because there's a lot of nuances within that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of state laws that go into effect, and things are treated differently based on where you are.
Correct, correct. And that's actually one of the ways that a lot of veterans have been able to come back, because of changes in state laws, right? That, for instance, a crime that was a felony 20 years ago might have been changed to a misdemeanor. And because it's now a misdemeanor and no longer recognized as an aggravated felony, veterans can then go through different processes to be repatriated without the aggravated felony on their record.
When people say deported veteran, I think that confuses a lot of people. Is this an issue that is common knowledge, and how does it happen? How do you explain this to people?
Right, so it is not very common knowledge, even amongst military members. There is I guess many people believe that because they are serving in similar roles that they are U.S. citizens, or that they're granted U.S. citizenship upon entering, which is definitely not the case. There are when a service member, for instance, applies for U.S. citizenship, they do get to the head of the line, but it's still an application process that can and often does get denied. There was a study within the last 5 years that showed military members are actually denied citizenship at higher rates than non-military members, which doesn't make sense, yet it is happening.
Do you get a sense that people know this going into the military? Is this something that is informed to them?
I wouldn't say that it is. More recently, there are efforts nationally to try to address the dwindling recruitment numbers by allowing DACA recipients, for example, of entering the military. But I cannot say that many of those young men and women understand that that could happen to them.
Can you talk a little bit about what happens when veterans get deported? What are their experiences like?
Right. So typically a veteran is deported after having served time in prison for an aggravated felony. Right. So they are not released back into their own community. They are put on an airplane or a bus and put to whatever immigration deportation proceedings their country of origin usually goes through. And so they get to experience that return home to a foreign land. So they oftentimes are left without any money, any resources, any networks, any type of services that would help them to reintegrate into any community, much less a community that's typically in a place that they have no connection to.
Wow, that's hard.
A little bit.
What has been successful when it comes to bringing deported veterans back? What is the organization doing?
So what has been successful is very local efforts, right? We were part of a coalition here in Chicago of immigrant rights activists, and we were able to play our part, right? Governor Pritzker was able to provide this veteran clemency, which helped him to navigate the federal process, right? In New Mexico, in California, in Arizona, a lot of those efforts continue there. Why? Because, as you said before, it is a lot of local laws that really dictate what an aggravated felony is. So because there has not been any type of umbrella policy that will help these men and women, they have to rely on local efforts.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Our thanks to Carlos Luna.
Thank you.
Kids in mentorship programs might not yet appreciate how much their mentors have helped keep them on a successful path, but Boys and Girls Club of Chicago's HECTOR PEREZ says these programs are critical to shaping productive futures for Chicago children. Here, Perez offers La Ultima Palabra on how he says mentorship changed his life trajectory and how mentors are still changing lives today.
My name is Hector Perez, and I'm the Senior Vice President for the Union League Boys and Girls Club. I've been here for about 37 years. When I started in 1981, I'd a club kid. I was just one person that grew up in the club, and now I oversee 21 locations with over 15,000 kids. Growing up, I am the number 12 out of 13 kids. My dad passed away when I was 5 years old, and so I was missing that father figure. In coming to the Boys and Girls Club and seeing the staff that actually took me under their wings, feeling that warm welcome and feel that they really did want you there. They really wanted for you to succeed. They wanted for you to be part of their family. So I'm just paying it forward now. A lot of our parents have more than one job. And so a lot of the time it's either being home alone or not having that adult person to be with you. And so having the Boys and Girls Club where you can be able to be mentor, have their homework help, do their different activities while their parents are at work, it keeps our parents' mind at ease. It's always great to see all the kids, smiling faces, walking through our doors, coming inside the Boys and Girls Club, greeting the staff that are waiting for them. Many of them don't feel safe in their communities, but they do find that sense of belonging. They feel safe within the Boys and Girls Clubs. What we need is to continue spreading the word out that we are producing great folks, right? I thought there was no hope for me, and eventually I was just going to be part of the statistics. But the Boys and Girls Clubs showed me a different. They showed me that I am valuable. everyone that we talk to, everyone uses pretty much that phrase. The Boys and Girls Club has saved my life. We are changing lives.
The school year is coming to an end, but the Boys and Girls Club of Chicago do have summer programming still available, and you'll find more on that on our website. Back with Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, right after this. An effort to ease congestion on I-55 is leading to some pushback from environmental groups. A proposed bill in Springfield would add express toll lanes on I-55 along parts of the southwest side, but critics say that the expansion project would harm communities already burdened with emissions from trucks and cars. Joining us now with more are Jose Miguel Acosta Cordova, Senior Transportation Policy Analyst at the Little Village Environmental Justice Organization, Danny Robles, Climate Policy Director at the Illinois Environmental Council, and Kate Lowe, Associate Professor of Urban Planning and Policy at the University of Chicago. We also reached out to the Illinois Department of Transportation, who declined to join us today. Jose, I want to start with you. I want to know a little bit of why your organization is opposed to expanding I-55.
Yeah, so the I-55 corridor is already one of the dirtiest corridors, air pollution-wise, in the country, and a big part of that is because of the current, not only the current vehicle traffic, but also the surrounding facilities that attract a lot of that traffic. So I-55 is heavily concentrated with warehouses, intermodal rail yard facilities, other distribution centers, other kinds of logistics activities that attract significant amount of truck traffic. So this is already an area that deals with significant air pollution, and this expansion would only make that issue much worse.
Oh, so true. So Kate, tell us a little bit about, would this plan address the congestion on I-55?
So for many decades, we've known about something that's called induced demand. Sounds a little technical, but the idea is actually pretty straightforward. You build more capacity, you encourage more people to drive. So because so many people are encouraged to drive, you end up back where you started with congested roadways. And so technical models show a little increase, but alternative new models show actually if we build this, we'll see massive increases in driving and lock us further into car dependency and all its polluting factors.
Oh, interesting. And Danny, what about you? Can you give us a little bit of context around the environmental issues that communities are facing?
Yeah, so as Kate and Jose are alluding, the saturation of cars and vehicles in the area are increasing pollutants like greenhouse gases, particle matter, and nitrous oxides, specifically with the heavy-duty vehicles that are consistently driving through those neighborhoods and through the I-55 corridor. I think Jose could probably talk at length about the number of trucks that they see every single day.
Yeah, Jose, what are you hearing from people with regards to their everyday life?
Yeah, so truck traffic is a major issue for people, not only in Little Village, but throughout the southwest side. And because you have such a high concentration of these facilities, and with that attracts so many trucks on a daily basis, right? It's leading to many different negative health outcomes like asthma, other respiratory issues, cardiovascular issues, premature death. And then there's also the issue with traffic safety as well, right? We see a lot of these trucks that are coming off of I-55 north into Little Village, and they're traveling through the neighborhood down residential streets where they're technically not allowed to be. So people are complaining about safety issues. Also, the way that it shakes houses when it travel down these residential areas. So people are really concerned about the damage it is doing to their foundation of their homes.
So it's affecting every day.
Every day.
Oh, wow. Kate, I was wondering, the concerns of the expansion and this private public partnership, which I was trying to read all on because I didn't really understand what was going on. Can you explain that a little bit?
So one of the concerns is that there's complementary, well, I hate to call them complementary, but there's two pieces of legislation related to this. One would authorize this to be a public-private partnership, and one would really loosen the oversight the public has on public-private partnerships. It would take out our regional planning agencies from the process. And what we see is when public-private partnerships happen, sometimes the public gets a bad deal, as with the parking meter privatization deal. That was rushed through. It's been great for the private firms. They've made a lot of revenue. It's been bad for Chicago.
I was trying to keep up, trying to keep up with that, but I think a lot of people do kind of understand the meter parking situation and kind of relate back to this. Dani, we know many Latino communities reside on the southwest side along I-55. What is important for them to think about when these things happen?
Yeah, I think for them is how do they use their voice to make sure that they're raising awareness. I think the Latino community is starting to become very vocal. We're becoming the largest minority in the state, and a lot of our community members, although they're younger, under 18, they have a lot to say, and they should be speaking up and telling their legislators, like, this is about our livelihoods. This is about our future. Right now, a lot of folks are really concerned about climate change, right? We are seeing a lot of Latinos coming to our country because there's climate catastrophes happening in their countries. And what do they see when they come to a new country is they get additional environmental and pollutants in their new neighborhoods. So I encourage all young Latinos to get out there, talk to their legislators, go on the streets and letting them know that this is not all right and that we need the decisions to be made in the right direction.
Yeah. Jose, are you seeing any of these movements or grassroots or even people coming together to kind of use their voice?
Yeah, I mean, actually, if you look at, you've seen that all these state reps and state senators that are along the I-55 corridor, particularly those representing the southwest side of the city, are all against this project. And a big reason for that is because of the work that organizations like us and some of our sister organizations in the Chicago EJ network have been doing over the last, really the last couple of decades, but collectively over the last few years. And the issue of trucking and just the oversaturation of these facilities has become a major talking point throughout the city now, as people are really thinking about when do we have too many of these facilities concentrated, and when we have literally millions of truck trips happening throughout our city on every year, right? This is a major concern for all of us.
And what do you think should be done to with this expansion? What is your proposal?
Well, with this expansion, I mean, if we're really trying to reduce congestion, then the only answer to that is to invest in public transit, right? This median was originally created. The original purpose of that median was to function or to serve an investment in public transit, to put a train down the middle. And we are a city that has a pretty decent public transit system, but we have a whole lot of opportunity for growth. And one of the best things we can do as a city is invest in public bus rapid transit, which we're major proponents of in this group right here. Mm-hmm. But I think is really presents a lot of opportunity for the city to not only create more opportunities to use public transit, but also to put Chicago on the map as a leader in public transportation in the world.
And Kate, you're nodding your head a lot through that. What do you think when it comes to prioritizing equity and sustainability as we create new infrastructure?
I think those need to be top priorities, and they've gotten a lot of attention. There's even a federal program called Reconnecting Communities to undo the harm that's been done by building highways predominantly through Black and Latino communities. But that funding is a drop in the bucket when state departments of transportation are continuing to do harm through expanding highways.
Yeah. Danny, any last thoughts on that?
Yeah. I think as both Kate and Jose are mentioning, the funding that really needs to be directed needs to be to those projects that are going to help reduce carbon emissions and greenhouse gases. So not only do we need to invest in public transit, but we should also be looking to invest in advanced clean trucks to make sure that whatever mechanisms of transportation are coming in the future are cleaner in those communities. So once again, I encourage folks to reach out to their senators, their legislators, and let them know that we need clean cars, clean vehicles, public transit, and all different modes of transportation then.
Thank you so much for joining us. Our thanks to Jose Miguel Acosta Cordova, Danny Robles, and Katie Lowe. Up next, under the big top of Circus Vazquez. looking for some Memorial Day merriment, a Latino-led circus is back in town. The family-run traveling Circus Vazquez got its start in Mexico City in 1969 and has made the Chicago area one of its stops for more than 20 years. For most of its history, it's been a Spanish-language circus, but the pandemic prompted them to make a change. Producer Erica Gunderson got a preview.
Circus Vazquez is a traditional show, a traditional circus, combined with modernity, because if you see our tent, it's the biggest tent traveling on the States. We had live performers, also with live orchestra, which we are very proud to have it because it combines the acts with the live music, and we have performers from all over the world, Italy, from Chile, from Spain, from the Czech Republic, from Mexico, from Ukraine. We are known for the Latino community for more than 20 years here in the States. At the beginning, we do the show only in Spanish, but after the pandemic, you know, Ringling Brothers closed, Cirque du Soleil closed, a lot of shows closes, so we were getting audiences from all over, and we decided, thanks God, because we do that, to do the show only in English. I'm third generation of circus performers in our family, but actually it's 4 generations now. Everything started with my grandparents. My mother and my father both came from a circus family. It started in 1969 over there as a very small circus, and it started to grow, and now we're here. And we are considered one of the best circus in the world. It's very excited for the circus people to go in the ring. As soon as you get into the ring and you feel all the circus magic, you just feel alive, you know. Circus is for children from 1 to 100 years. And the most people that get fun here in the circus is like the adults, you know. Circus has no borders and no language, and this is a very, very nice thing.
Circus Vazquez is in Gurnee through May 29th and then moves to Schaumburg from June 2nd until the 11th. And you'll find more on how to buy tickets on our website. Just weeks before Hurricane Fiona hit Puerto Rico last year, a valuable collection of paintings arrived in Chicago from the island. They are on loan from an art museum in the town of Ponce on the southern coast. And now Chicago's National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture is the temporary home to a small but significant exhibit. Producer Mark Vitale visited the museum in Humboldt Park.
This collection comes from a Museo de Arte de Ponce, the Museum of Ponce. It's an art museum. It's really the first museum to open up in the Caribbean and the first one to get accredited back in 1959.
Much of the museum remains closed following an earthquake in 2020.
The thing was that they have this collection, the biggest collection in the whole Caribbean. They wanted to do something with it. They wanted to stay relevant. They wanted to reach out to different places. And so they reached out to us, and I said, I would love to have an art collection, an art exhibit made up of Puerto Rican artists.
It is historical artwork dating as far back as the 1700s, including paintings created during Puerto Rico's colonial era. Most focus on the landscape and the people of the island.
It's called Nostalgia for My Island. Not only will you feel nostalgic about the island if you've ever been there, but it has you dreaming, it has you thinking of different sorts of things. This exhibit deals with 3 issues. It deals with my people, my island, my home. These pieces as a whole have never left the island. These are pieces that we, as Puerto Ricans, we've seen in books. We may have seen pictures of them, but we have never really seen them in person. And so for us to have this collection here is just a remarkable thing.
The museum in Humboldt Park upgraded its galleries to secure and protect these rare works, most of which were painted in oil. We met a volunteer who's also an artist, and he grew up in the town of Ponce.
It is really emotional. It's the first time that we have this type of exhibition like this in Chicago, in U.S. And I know that a lot of people are definitely going to be super proud to be able to see. A lot of people, they never had the opportunity to go to the museum in Ponce. That be able to see this work here, they will be overwhelmed for a lot of people, but it would be great. You see something different in every piece.
Something that did not make it out of Puerto Rico before the hurricane, most of the catalogs for the exhibition remain on the island.
What I want people to take away is that there's a history behind the Puerto Rican people. Yes, we are American citizens, but you should also take a look at who we are. Puerto Ricans are 1/3 Spaniard, 1/3 African, and 1/3 Taino Indian. This exhibit explains exactly who we are as Puerto Ricans.
For Chicago Tonight Latino Voices, this is Mark Vitale.
The exhibition is called Nostalgia for My Island. It's at the National Museum of Puerto Rican Arts and Culture in Humboldt Park through June 9th. And that's our show for tonight. Don't forget, you can catch me hosting weekend editions Saturday and Sundays, as well as my reporting during the week on 91.5 FM and WBEZ.org. And now, from all of us here at Chicago Tonight Latino Voices, I'm Araceli Gomez Saldana. Buenas noches.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that is proud to recognize its 18 attorneys selected for the 2023 Super Lawyers List.
Next time.
Lady, the fun's come to town.
A motorcycle gang stirs up trouble in Kembleford. And when one of them is killed, the wrong man may have died.
Roger Norton was not the intended victim.
But with emotions running high,
I'll be out with torches and pitchforks soon.
Father Brown has an idea.
I challenge you to a race.
Father Brown.